Guys, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure today. So, we are going to get into our final question of the day. Now, I want every single one of you in the chat getting involved with this. Every single one of you. Dominic, Kome, Faith, everyone I can see on the screen who's been talking a lot today. Joseph as well. I want to know who your favourite artist of the year has been, who you believe has been the artist of the year, and why that is. I want to get into a bit of a discussion to round off today's show. Do let me know in the chat who you think your artist of the year has been. So, first up, Joseph Agbede saying WizKid Big Wiz. Why do you think that is, Joseph? Why do you think it's WizKid? Not that I'm disagreeing, I just would like to know why you think it is. What's he done that's kind of pushed him over that bracket for you this year? Dominic Andrews saying, I love CK and Joe Boy, but I will give it to Big Wiz for the solid branding. Now, this is where it gets interesting. WizKid hasn't released that much music this year. He had obviously a feature on Dave's album. He had the feature with Loj and SARS earlier on in the year as well. Following on from that as well, he's also had obviously the extended version of Made in Lagos drop. He's popped up on a couple of random little bits. He's obviously on Jules' album as well. And then obviously he came out with the collaboration with Burna. But in regards to like a mass amount of music, I feel like he hasn't released as much as some other people. But obviously the O2 show, the world tour of Made in Lagos, and everything that Made in Lagos has done probably does put him in a pole position quite specifically. Joseph saying he's had the biggest song Essence, sold out 3 shows at the O2 Arena, won a Grammy Awards, got 2 Grammy nominations. Again, very, very true. The thing with Essence is, though, that tune came out in 2020. So I find with it, I just want to be careful that we are kind of judging it for what it is. Essence is obviously a global phenomenon now, but that tune did come out in 2020, the same way that like Blinding Lights by The Weeknd came out in 2019, but was sort of seen as one of the biggest tunes for 2020, despite the fact it came out like quite late in 2019. So just trying to keep things in context. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts on this one. I want to hear from each and every one of you. Faith saying it has to be WizKid generally, but my personal favourite artist of the year would have to be Adekunle Gold or Oxlade. Interesting. Why those two as your kind of personal favourite? Again, has to be WizKid generally. And again, I think this is going to be the general opinion on this one, just because of everything that Wiz has done. Davido's had a relatively quiet year, and it's kind of being kind of generally accepted at this point that he's not on the same level as Wiz and Burna in regards to sort of popularity and growth and consistency and things like that. Over the years, there's always been this sort of back and forth between them, but I definitely think that Wiz is edging in front currently in regards to just pure consistency and explosive growth. Burna's had a relatively quiet year, shall we say. He's had a few good features, a few good things popping up, a few good singles, but in general, he has had a relatively quiet year. Joseph comes out and says, also won the Mobile International and African Artist. If you can stay, and Dominic says, if you can stay in people's minds and ears all year, that's solid branding. Again, completely agree with that. Kome saying, for me, it's either Fireboy, DML, or CK. That's because they get new people listening to Afrobeat. CK with his Loved One TT, and Fireboy DML with the Ed Sheeran remix of Peru. Now, for me, when I was doing this conversation with Just Vibes and Palm Wine Pappy the other day, I brought to the table the concept of Fireboy being in the conversation, because I think realistically, when you look over the amount of music that Fireboy has released this year, and also the amount of collaborations without being attached to any kind of project, if that makes sense. Like, it's just been like he's dropping singles and he's dropping features. There hasn't been the kind of album that kind of Wiz had last year that he's then kind of followed on from with all the branding around that. It's literally just been singles, and even with that, Fireboy's kind of elevated himself to a level of that sort of, if not already in that top circle, he's rapidly approaching it and knocking on the door. Now for me, that kind of says that the growth has to play a big part in how you are ranked for the year for me. That's something I'm quite keen on saying. I think Fireboy has to be in the conversation without a shadow of a doubt. Kome saying, for me, it's either Fireboy, DML, or CK. No, we've read that one. Uche saying Adekunle Gold and Ruger. Uche, why those two? The second time Adekunle's name's come up, and again, he has had a couple of big tunes this year. Again, a couple of big features. Why Adekunle Gold for you? And Ruger in there as well. Very interesting stuff. Why Ruger? Because obviously he's a newcomer. Do you reckon being a newcomer, if you are a newcomer, you can be Artist of the Year? I definitely put him in the bracket for Newcomer of the Year. But yeah, Faith saying I chose those two because though I've known them prior to 2021, was the year I began paying attention to them. Okay, cool. So they've kind of broken through for you this year. They've kind of pushed to the top of what you're listening to. Okay, cool. That makes sense. Again, that's a really cool one. Again, there's so many people you can kind of throw into this conversation. When you kind of look around the top names, again, Burner's had a quiet year. Davido's had a moderately quiet year. Wiz hasn't had a quiet year, despite the fact he hasn't released the biggest amount of music. Again, how are we feeling about people like Omar Lay? I feel Omar Lay's had quite a quiet year, considering how much he exploded last year. There's people I'm seeing, again, Joeboy is someone, a name that got mentioned earlier. I think Joeboy's had quite an underrated year, to be honest with you. I think when you look at what Joeboy's done, he's been on a lot of good features, he's popped up a lot, and he hasn't really, I don't feel, got the credit for it. How are we feeling about Rema as well? Because obviously there's been the controversy recently, but Rema's had some big tunes this year. Obviously the collab with Neptune recently, Soundgasms this year. He had another tune earlier in the year as well that the name completely escapes me, but he's had a few big features. He's obviously on that international collab as well with Skepta and J5 Dimensions. That's a huge tune. Again, really kind of pushing that international collaborative feel as well. How are we feeling about Rema in this conversation? Guys, keep getting your things in. I'm keen to hear from each and every one of you. It's a good way to kind of round off these shows with discussion. I love getting into these discussions because, again, we can put them up afterwards and kind of zoom in on them as individual bits. But yeah, Uche, why Couldn't Lay Gold and Ruger for you? More than anything else. Wiz did good, only did good because of Thames. That comes from Kome. Very interesting. It's an interesting way of looking at it. I wouldn't say he's only done good because of Thames, because there are... Bounce, thank you. Joseph, thank you. Bounce is the name of the Rema tune that I'd forgotten. Thank you, Joseph. Kome saying Wiz only did good because of Thames. I think there's an element of that. I think there's definitely an element to that. I think obviously Essence is the big kind of factor, but like even with the deluxe edition of Made in Lagos, that was solid. Like that was a solid body of work. And Thames is, I suppose Thames is actually on that, but I almost feel like the remix for Essence kind of didn't get anywhere near as much hype as people expected it to. No, I mean, for instance, it's got nowhere near the same level of hype as this Ed Sheeran remix has for Peru, has it? It hasn't. It's nowhere near the same level of hype. But it's an interesting discussion. How do you feel about that one, guys? Wiz only did good because of Thames. I definitely think Essence is a big part of it, but I think there's enough around it to kind of say he did a fair bit. Obviously, well, him and his management team did a fair bit alongside that regardless. Omar Lay is no longer unique with people like Loj and CK getting attention. Interesting from Dominic. Uche saying, Couldn't Lay Gold drop hits after hits. I'm very impressed with Ruger as a newcomer and had one of the biggest songs in Bounce. He had one of the best EPs of the year as well. This year, don't forget, Bieber jumped on it again. Yeah, Bieber did jump on Essence, but I don't think I've ever heard anyone play the remix. Like they didn't play the remix. They didn't play the remix at the O2, which surely would have been somewhere you wanted to. They just played the original. I don't know. I feel like the remix actually got either a little bit slept on, or it just wasn't as accepted as people thought it was going to be. But yeah, an interesting discussion and always a good way to kind of round off the show. So we will finish it up there. Guys, thank you for all of your participation today. It's been great having so many of you join us on these streams. This has been the 17,000 subs special. So again, thank you to each and every one of you who's allowed us to kind of get this new level. I didn't expect us to hit 17k this year, to be honest. I would have been ecstatic if we'd have gone up to 15k this year, but we are going to end the we are going to end the year on at least 17,000, which is absolutely crazy to me. Obviously, the next big milestone we're trying to hit is 20k. So if you are watching this for the first time, please make sure you do go and hit the subscribe button if you are new to the channel, and of course throw a like on this video as well. Guys, I want you to go and enjoy the rest of your Boxing Day and enjoy the rest of your time off work. If you are off work, if you're not off work, I do apologise, and I hope you have some time to rest either side of it, but I hope you do go and enjoy the rest of your day, and yeah, have a good one, friends. As always, do go and check out the Spotify playlist. Of course, fresh Afrobeat flavour is available. You can subscribe to it on Spotify. We're updating that on a regular basis. Pretty much everything that we review on the channel that's new goes straight into that playlist, and yeah, if you haven't already, please make sure you are hitting that subscribe button on the right hand side of the page, turning notifications on, leaving a like, leaving a comment, all that good stuff, and we shall see you all next time, my friends. Have a good one, and peace.
Sounding so good right now. But they're sounding a bright and town. First, guys, press, place. Who's the boss man?
Yo, this is Skepsis and you're listening to CubReacts.
Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel right now, CubCamTV. Stay locked.